Hello again. I wanted to show you folks what the Douglas fir seed looks like. So the clean seed is purchased from a reputable seed company. Prior to sowing, the seeds soaked in water and wet and cold stratified for 2 weeks to 2 months before sowing. And this seed was told it was one of the best seeds for Christmas trees. This is all from the mainland. After the stratification, we sow them into the dibble tubes. And if I'm in a rush, I might do a community pot, but preferably it's better to sow it directly into the tube. After you do your germination test, you'll know how many seeds to put in each tube because thinning takes a long time. And after germination, seedlings may still be lost to mice, slugs, cutworms, or birds. The seeds and tubes are covered with netting or wire cages to prevent the birds from eating the seed or pulling out the seedlings. Especially in Waimea Nursery, there's a lot of birds out there. And after the seedlings are larger, there's still the problem of potential diseases. Doug fir is a drought-tolerant species, and it doesn't like to be wet all the time. If you control your water, you control your diseases. But when you do have problems, fungicides are necessary. And it's important to know what the causal organism is in order to determine the correct method to control or correct the problem. So now this one was April 1st. I think this is 3 months old in the tubes. They were beautiful. I went out and mice had gotten in. They had mowed the field next to the nursery. I wanted to cry, but this is noble fir seedlings. The seedlings actually germinated, but they stopped growing and they started forming a bud on the top. So if you want to grow these conifers, these high elevation, the Doug fir, the noble, and the grand, you need to be, I think you need to be pretty high up in elevation because you need the cold and you can't have it too wet. And this ones were our last batch, September 25th, 2015. And these will be planted out in March. And the seedlings should be planted out when they're ready and not held too long because this can lead to more problems in the nursery. These are sown, so it's about almost a year. This nursery is about 2,500 feet or 2,600 feet elevation. And so in here you can see that we were losing seedlings to the root rots. You can note the death of some seedlings due to too wet conditions and the root rots. And this is that's kind of what it should look like, maybe a little greener. But the roots should actually be white and really healthy looking. And then this was the leftover ones that we didn't plant because they were just too junk. And then here you can see the rots, yeah. With the top, it seems like the top doesn't grow, the roots fill out pretty fast. And if it's too wet, you get a lot of root rot. So these are seedlings that were ready for planting, and some of you were out there planting, helping us plant. Okay. And this was the conifer nursery in Oregon that I went to. So it's a containerized nursery. They actually put it on the ground. You can see and they use styro blocks. And then this is their bare root nursery. And it's acres and acres of Doug fir and all kind of firs. The Doug fir that we planted in 2002, 2003, this was how big they were at 2 years. And this is a different kind of pine we planted, Pinus gregii. I thought they would have made nice Christmas trees. And then this is a Doug fir 10 years afterwards in the same area. And so that's 10 years growth. And keep in mind that we maintained it for about a year and a half. And we kind of just let it go. I didn't fertilize it, didn't prune it, didn't do anything. The question was whether we can gather seed, and I'm hoping we can. We have to work with Hawaiian Homes because usually they say 10 years is how long it takes till it produces seed. And it's been 14 years. So, because this was actually a seed source trial where we tested different seed sources to see what would be the best. And so these are the better ones. And this is Abies religiosa, which is a sacred fir, which is another true fir. And so I also did a pot trial. They bring in a lot of these potted Christmas trees also, which I have found that you can actually grow. I grew all these from seed. One of the reasons we did bring in seed was because of that Phytophthora ramorum, because otherwise we could just do bare root. But there's this Phytophthora remora, which causes sudden oak death. And in studies, they found that it affects koa, our native koa, pukeave, and a bunch of other native plants. So we didn't want to take the chance of bringing it in. But I would like to work with the mainland places, but we don't want to bring in plants. Because a lot of that sudden oak death or that Phytophthora remorum is actually spread from nursery to nursery. And then we tried all kinds of noble firs, red fir, Shasta fir, all kinds of stuff to see what we could grow in the nursery, and found what we could grow. I think Doug fir actually was the only one that was really successful for the high elevation. There's all kinds of different species that you could grow. It's kind of a trial and error, I think, in your area. You have to see what your area is like. I've grown Monterey cypress, I've grown Portuguese cypress, I've grown other cedars, and I just try to see what will grow in my area. It really depends on where you are.
Thank you so much, Āina.